all, MadYocco here. Before I get started, I'd like to ask for you to give me a thumbs up, a little clicky poo, and if you like this ugly mug, go on and subscribe for more knife, tool, and sometimes food-related content. Today, I'm going to talk about the AD20.5 by Demko. Many a knife collector owns one of these, and they are extremely popular knives, as many of you know. They're designed by Andrew Demko as the successor of the larger AD20S, which is a little bit longer, a little bit bulkier, a little bit wider, all of that, but not just a little bit more expensive. Andrew Demko. What to say about Andrew Demko? Andrew Demko is prolific. He is a wildly influential knife maker. He made a bunch of knife designs for cold steel, such as the AD10, the AD15. I wonder what AD stands for in this naming convention. Oh, it's Andrew Demko. Founding his company in Wampum, Pennsylvania, as stated on the pivot here. And one state over from old MadYocco, Demko started making tools and knives as a teen in his garage in the late 80s, and now he makes some of the most reliable, strong-locking knives known to man. He's the inventor of the Triad lock on various cold steel knives, the Scorpion lock on the cold steel AD15, and the Shark lock on the AD20.5 and AD20, and also the Shark Cub models. These are extremely strong locking mechanisms, stronger maybe than they even need to be. The Triad lock especially is potentially the strongest lock in the world of pocket knives. The Shark lock here is the only Demko lock that I have experienced at the moment, and I love it. It's crazy strong, even when spine whacking, and it's even easy to use with one hand. It's actually just a bar that's spring-loaded, and it's a little thicker in the front, and when deployed it locks into the little crevice on the top of the blade right in here, as you can see, or the bottom when not deployed, and that bar keeps the blade from going anywhere until the lock is pulled away, like so. Kind of like how those creeping thoughts of not being good enough hold you back from achieving your dreams. Very strong. Similar to the Super Lock, as I have right here, but also entirely different. It functions the same way, that you have to pull it back here, but the Super Lock, you see, locks in to these crevices on the blade, whereas the Shark Lock, it pulls back farther and it locks heavily onto the top of the blade or bottom. This would be more comparable to like a crossbar lock, whereas this is more like I guess a back lock. So instead of the back lock being kind of on a pivot like this, the Shark lock is both on a pivot and kind of slides forward, so it kind of like goes forward like that. Here's a picture. Enough about them dang locks. Now this knife comes in all sorts of different blade variants too. This is an S35 VN clip point, and it comes in other steels. Like the most common and most affordable is an AUS 10A variant. Other steels that it comes in are 20CV, D2, 3V, K110. People also do reblades of this knife a lot, so I imagine for the right price you could have any steel you could dream of. You could have a Magna Cut on there. Other blade shapes of this model include the Shark's Foot, which is a modified sheep's foot, the Slicer, which is kind of like this one but doesn't have a thumb stud and has a longer hole, and the Tonto, which is only available in 3V on DLT trading. Believe me, I want that version, but it's not very interesting for you guys to see more than 3 videos about the same knife in a row, so we're going to have to hold off on that for a little while. Again, you can get a lot of different shapes for this knife made custom for the right price. So usually that's a very high price, but if you want to know more about that, then you're going to have to wait for somebody to open their books and maybe then hit them up about making you a new blade for this. Suggestion, Brian, Transparent Knives. He's pretty busy right now, but he, I believe, makes reblades for this type of knife. While we're talking about stock options though, this knife has a variety of handle types. It comes in injected molded Grivery, peel ply G10, diamond textured G10, carbon fiber, and titanium. You can also get aftermarket scales like these ones right here, which you can get made of pretty much any material you want. This is a very popular knife, and these are micarta scales from Rips Garage Tech. If I ever replace these micarta scales, I will probably have somebody make some camo carbon scales for it. So this knife cost me $170 used. Had to do some trading. I wound up affording it. And that came with stock scales. It has an aftermarket pocket clip with it that it came with, and aftermarket skiff bearings behind here. If I were to get this knife brand new with AUS 10A steel and all the stock parts, it would cost $150 at least. You can find them used for a lot better price. This is the second version of this knife. It has a big pivot, which is important to know when buying scales and backspacers. You can't get a backspacer for the big pivot versions. When looking to upgrade the materials of any part of this knife, expect to spend some money. Like, you could pour anywhere from $20 to $300 into this customization of this knife. You can replace the scales, you can get the skiff bearings, you can do a magnet detent mod, check my video link in the description. The small pivot model has a backspacer, which can be replaced with custom ones found on Etsy. You can also get MadYocco Hanks on Etsy, like this one here. You can also, as I said earlier, get a reblade. If you plan to fully replace all the parts on this, the initial price of $150 for the Grivery AUS 10 steel version is just paying for the frame, which is the shark lock and the bit of metal in here. That's all that you're going to be paying for, and you're going to be paying a lot for it. So this knife isn't for everybody. I got the S35 VN version to save a little bit so that I don't wind up getting a reblade, but now I don't feel the need to upgrade it anymore. So this is probably the best case scenario for me. Something to remember about buying used though is do so from a reputable seller like Blade Binge. Fakes do exist out there. Let's see. I've got a fake in my case right here. Here's a fake. I bought this knowing it was a fake off of Amazon before I knew how terrible it is to support people that are making counterfeit knives. Now, I knew it was a fake when I bought it, and it definitely shows because I started learning how to sharpen on it, and just look how uneven my sharpening line was. Also, this thing grinds away very quickly. It's very bad quality steel, and look at that. It's not even falling shut. It's not falling shut. There. I had to shake it a whole bunch. The action is slow. It takes a lot of work to get it to close. It's just all around not good. It's not a better version. It's a worse version. I guess the only good thing about this is that maybe there's some parts in here that I could replace if I wind up losing some from the real thing, but I don't want to have to do that. Eventually, I'm going to do a whole video about Chinese copies and, well, the Taiwanese made real thing. It does say Wampum, Pennsylvania, but this thing's made in Taiwan. Thinking it was definitely designed in Wampum, Pennsylvania, and possibly assembled in Wampum, Pennsylvania, but you know what we can say now? It was assembled in Marblehead, Ohio, by yours truly. Because I've taken it apart a bunch of times. And you've watched me. So let's talk about specs. This knife is 7.5 inches long, 7 3/4 with the pocket clip. It is about 4 1/3 or 4 1/2 when closed. It's an inch wide, inch and a half wide. It's about a half an inch thick. The blade stock is like an eighth of an inch thick, and then it is 30 thousandths of an inch behind the edge. So it's got fairly good blade geometry. This thing came dull as crap, but I'm guessing it was used a little bit and also never sharpened. I put a little, like, I haven't even reprofiled it. I just did a little sharpen on the fine grit on my diamond stone, and now it's pretty sharp. Knife weighs 3.7 ounces, which is to me the Goldilocks weight. Anywhere between 3 and 4 ounces is my favorite size. It's the perfect size for me. It feels great in my hand. The knife itself feels great in my hand too. It's got these spots for your fingers, kind of wraps around your pinky there. It's got all beveled edges, which the regular scales also have beveled edges. And really, the feel of the whole thing is amazing. With these finger holes, contour lines, the beveled edges, the RGT scales, your fingies just wrap around it so very well. We have 3 modes of deployment. We have the thumb hole, which is this elongated bit here. We've got thumb stud, and you can just deploy it with the shark lock. Makes it a little bit harder with the Magnum mod to do that, but you have to do it in sequence, because if you pull the shark lock, you see it kicks that blade past the magnets, so makes it easy to deploy then. But if you fiddle around too long, now it's stuck by the magnet and it's not going to flip open. But overall, super easy to play with, very fidgety, and the magnets didn't ruin it. They just made it have a little bit of resistance right here before the deployment. Oh, weird thing about the thumb studs, if you look here, they're conical and they're super duper thick. They're like some of the biggest thumb studs that I've seen that are still conical shaped. And you can remove them with a flathead. Kind of weird, but kind of cool. They're really comfortable, and with the jimping up here and on the shark lock, ultimately it's very, very grippy. Comes with an ambidextrous pocket clip. Oh, looks like I lost one of the screws there. I'll have to replace that. But anyway, you can put the pocket clips that come with it aren't deep carry. This one is just a right-handed deep carry. This one didn't come with the left-handed, but it did come with left-handed shallow carry clip that you could put on here. The only downside to this knife is that it's pretty loud to deploy and to close. It sounds cool, but you have to stop playing with it when people go to bed. Or don't and piss them off. It's sharp, it's fun, it looks nice, it's very super duper customizable, it's comfy, it's strong, it's loud, and it's grippy. Also, it's actually pretty safe. Your hand is never directly in the path of the blade, unless you close it like me, like this. And then, even then, your fingers are if your fingers are normal size, the ricasso, which is this part that says Demko on it, behind the choil and before you get to the bolster, just this little section of metal is called the ricasso. But even like if your hand is in this area, that's what rests on your finger. That blade never touched me, so then you can move your hand and let it fall shut. So it's just safe, you know? I like it very much, and I think if you have the money, you should consider buying one. Or 3. If you think that's dumb, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find the perfect knives so you don't have to. Thanks for listening to me ramble on about my new favorite knife, and if you enjoyed your time here, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more knife-related content. Here's another video that I think you're gonna like. Until next time, I'll be digging up more stuff to show y'all. Peace!